For decades, megachurches dominated the American religious landscape. Massive auditoriums, polished services, and charismatic leaders drew tens of thousands every weekend. The goal was clear: make church accessible, inviting, and engaging. Large-scale productions, music, media, and volunteer teams created an experience that felt seamless, almost like a show. Attendance became a key measure of success, and as crowds swelled, so did confidence in the model. But beneath the surface, questions lingered. Was filling seats the same as fostering spiritual growth? Could a system designed for scale also cultivate depth? For many, the answer remained unexamined, until change arrived, when size became the measure. At its peak, some megachurches could seat tens of thousands, yet a growing number of seats now sit empty. Services remain polished, music plays, and cameras roll, but the energy that once filled the room has shifted. Attendance alone can no longer define impact. Across the country, similar congregations face the same reality: fewer faces in familiar pews. This decline is not the result of scandal or public failure. Instead, it reflects deeper shifts in how Americans engage with faith. The rise of the megachurch created a system that worked brilliantly for numbers, but sometimes neglected the personal growth it promised. The blueprint of success. Megachurches became models for others to follow. Expanding campuses, media teams, clear branding, and polished experiences formed a recognizable blueprint. Short sermons, repeatable phrases, and strategic growth attracted attention and increased attendance. Other churches adopted the approach, building conferences around it, replicating methods, and celebrating numerical milestones. Success seemed simple. The larger the crowd, the greater the impact. But this very formula created blind spots. Once the focus shifted from spiritual depth to attendance numbers, questions about transformation and personal growth were often overlooked. The machine was designed to expand, not to reflect on its own effectiveness. A moment of reflection. Years before empty pews became a crisis, one major church dared to question the model. Willow Creek Community Church, long a leader in megachurch growth, surveyed its members to measure spiritual transformation rather than attendance. The results were unsettling. High engagement did not equal deep faith. People served, attended, and participated, yet many felt spiritually stagnant. Dependence on weekend services had replaced personal growth. Leadership acknowledged the flaw publicly, advocating for tools to nurture individual spiritual development. This moment highlighted a critical tension. A system optimized for gathering crowds struggled to sustain personal transformation, revealing limits the broader megachurch movement would eventually confront. The pandemic reveals the fragility. March 2020 forced every megachurch to confront the unknown. Sanctuaries went dark, stages fell silent, and parking lots emptied. Initially, leaders assumed closures would be brief, adopting streaming and digital services to maintain connection. At first, online audiences surged, and the system seemed resilient. Yet, when doors reopened, attendance dropped sharply. Rows remained roped off, and some congregations never regained half of their previous numbers. The pandemic didn't create the decline. It exposed a vulnerability in a model dependent on in-person experience. Without live energy and shared atmosphere, the megachurch's advantage suddenly felt thinner. The digital shift. At home, worshipers discovered choice and convenience. High-quality sermons became accessible anywhere, reducing the incentive to travel across town. The megachurch's once exclusive production advantage now belonged to anyone with a camera and an internet connection. While physical attendance declined, digital audiences expanded. Sermons reached millions globally, Short clips circulated on social media, and online engagement multiplied. Leaders like those at the largest congregations retained influence, yet the room felt emptier. The shift was clear. Impact was no longer measured by chairs filled, but by reach across screens, signaling a transformation in how faith communities engage with followers. Trust and leadership challenges. Megachurches rely heavily on visible, charismatic leaders. When trust in these figures falters, the impact can ripple through congregations. High-profile moral failures, leadership scandals, and controversies chipped away at public confidence. Even widely respected pastors faced criticism that, while temporary, affected perception. The model's dependence on central personalities exposed a structural weakness. Declining trust coincided with generational skepticism of institutions, further accelerating attendance drops. For many, the decline wasn't a reflection of personal faith, but a reaction to perceived instability. The question shifted from, is the church growing? To, can we trust the church we see? Generational and cultural shifts. Younger generations are approaching faith differently. Surveys show many still believe in God, but they are wary of hierarchical institutions and rigid structures. Some turn to smaller congregations, home gatherings, or hybrid online communities. The megachurch's promise of scale can feel distant, impersonal, or irrelevant. Additionally, the intersection of religion and politics has complicated participation. When leaders take positions or remain silent, members react. Unity fractures, and the broad appeal once central to the megachurch strategy becomes fragile. Cultural expectations are changing, and megachurches are learning that scale alone no longer ensures influence. Access and technology. Technology has reshaped access to faith. Sermons from thousands of pastors are now available online, dissolving geographic and institutional barriers. The unique advantage of attending a megachurch service is no longer exclusive. Faith communities can connect digitally, share resources globally, and grow outside traditional walls. The building size matters less when influence can exist in the digital space. As access becomes universal, the traditional megachurch model loses its monopoly on scale, forcing a reconsideration of purpose and approach. The shift from physical gatherings to digital presence signals a transformation in how spiritual influence is distributed. A new form of influence. While empty pews may suggest decline, digital reach tells a different story. Messages from once thriving megachurches now travel further than ever, reaching audiences across countries in minutes. Online content multiplies the church's impact beyond what physical space allows. The model is shifting from local congregation to global platform. Influence is no longer measured by attendance alone, but by reach, engagement, and cultural presence. Megachurches are mutating into hybrid entities, part community, part media network. The audience may be harder to see in person, but it exists in greater numbers online, marking a profound transformation in religious communication. From gathering place to platform megachurches were once defined by physical presence. Big buildings, big stages, big personalities. Today, influence transcends walls. Smaller communities, house gatherings, and hybrid platforms are growing quietly. People continue to search for meaning, but not always in arenas. Digital access allows faith to decentralize, empowering local initiatives while sustaining global reach. The challenge for megachurches is redefining relevance, maintaining connection, trust, and community while embracing a model that no longer depends on crowded auditoriums. Success is now measured in adaptation, not attendance alone. The future of faith spaces, Looking at empty seats, one might see decline, but the story is more complex. The shift toward digital presence and hybrid engagement suggests the megachurch model is evolving. Influence persists, just differently. Traditional metrics of success, attendance, square footage, and physical presence are giving way to online reach, content impact, and global audience. The transition raises questions about what it means to gather, lead, and grow spiritually in a decentralized world. Megachurches are no longer just buildings. They are networks, platforms, and content creators shaping faith beyond physical boundaries. Conclusion: transformation, not disappearance. Megachurches are not disappearing, they are transforming. Empty pews reflect a shift in how people experience faith, not a loss of belief. Digital platforms allow for broader reach, global content, and decentralized community. The center of gravity has moved, and influence now flows through screens as much as through sanctuaries. While the megachurch once symbolized physical scale and visibility, its next chapter may focus on connectivity, adaptability, and accessibility. The question is no longer how many seats are filled, but how far the message can travel, and how faith adapts to a changing world.